20 bomblets falling. No guidance. Nothing can stop them. I've spent years analyzing warfare technology, but what I witnessed unfold over Tel Aviv on that Sunday morning redefined everything I thought I understood about modern missile defense. 8 separate waves. Sirens screaming from Road 2s. Hour until dawn. A $10 billion air defense network punched full of holes by weapons that cost a fraction of that to build. Most people think this is about bigger missiles. The reality is far more terrifying. Iran engineered a solution that makes precision defense mathematically irrelevant, and I need to show you exactly why the economics of stopping these warheads has become a bigger existential threat to Israel than the explosions themselves. I started tracking Operation True Promise 4 the moment the IRGC announced its launch on February 28th, hours after the joint American-Israeli strike package that killed Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei inside his compound. By March 8th, 28 distinct waves had been executed. Brigadier General Ali Mohammed Naini confirmed 600 missile strikes and 2,600 drone sorties in the first week alone. The IDF countered with claims of 1,600 strike sorties into Iranian territory. Neither figure has been independently verified, and that gap between official narratives and ground truth is where the real story lives. But here's what I can confirm through satellite imagery, impact analysis, and casualty reports. Iran deployed 3 primary systems in this campaign. The Khorramshahr-4, a liquid-fueled heavy ballistic missile carrying 1,500 kilograms of explosives with a 2,000-kilometer range. The Khaybar-Shekan, a solid-fuel medium-range platform now configured for cluster warheads. And the Fatah, unveiled in 2023, marketed as a hypersonic weapon capable of terminal course corrections to evade interception. During June 2025's 12-day war, Iran launched 525 ballistic missiles over 12 days. In this conflict, 500 missiles and nearly 2,000 drones were fired in just the first 4 days. The tempo tripled. The warhead diversity expanded, and the cluster configuration became routine rather than experimental. Stay with me, because what happened on March 1st changed the entire operational calculus. Verified footage showed 24 submunition fragments streaking across central Israel's sky after the parent warhead separated during descent. On March 4th, 12 people were wounded when cluster bomblets struck multiple locations simultaneously. When police report a dozen impact sites from a single launch, that's not a malfunction. That's a cluster warhead performing exactly as engineered. A single warhead splits open mid-descent at roughly 7 kilometers altitude and scatters up to 20 smaller explosive charges across a 5-meter radius. No guidance systems, no propulsion. They just fall. Each submunition carries approximately 2.5 kilograms of explosive. Israel's entire defensive architecture, Arrow, David's Sling, Iron Dome THAAD, all of it is designed to track one object and neutralize one object. A cluster warhead breaks that model. The dispersal pattern transforms a single missile from a pinpoint threat into an area saturation weapon. For a densely built zone like Tel Aviv metropolitan core, that changes the defensive math entirely. If the intercept is delayed by even 1 second and the shell has already opened, 20 bomblets are raining down on a city, and nothing in the inventory can stop them. Firefighters responding to impact zones described finding scattered shrapnel wounds across multiple city blocks from what appeared to be a single launch event. The IDF confirmed cluster warheads were first deployed against Israel during last June's conflict. In this round, they became standard. But here's the dimension no defense ministry wants to discuss publicly. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that Iran produces an estimated 100 ballistic missiles per month. He then acknowledged the United States manufactures approximately 6 to 7 interceptors per month. Read that ratio again: 100 missiles produced for every 6 interceptors built. That arithmetic doesn't stabilize over time, it degrades. During the 12-day war in June, the United States consumed roughly a quarter of its entire THAAD interceptor stockpile. 1/4 of the national supply gone in 12 days. CNN reported that by day 4 of the current conflict, at least one Gulf ally had already requested emergency interceptor resupply. Each Iranian ballistic missile costs between $200,000 and $500,000 to manufacture. Each Arrow or David's Sling interceptor costs between $1 million and $3 million. Israel is spending 5 to 10 times more per engagement than Iran is. That economic imbalance compounds with every launch cycle. Think about the sustainability calculation. If Iran maintains even a modest tempo of 20 missiles per day, that's $20 million of Iranian expenditure, forcing Israel to burn through $60 to $100 million in interceptors daily. Over a month, that's $600 million to $3 billion just to maintain defensive posture, not counting infrastructure damage, emergency response costs, or economic paralysis from continuous shelter-in-place directives. The math doesn't stabilize, it accelerates toward collapse. The blackout I referenced in the title is literal, not rhetorical. It's happening simultaneously on both sides of this war. In Israel, the IDF Homefront Command has maintained nationwide emergency restrictions with no announced expiration date. Schools remain closed. Public gatherings are capped at 50 people. Workplaces can only operate where bomb shelters are accessible within the required warning window. Power disruptions have followed Iranian strikes in central Israel. Damaged infrastructure, scattered debris fields from cluster munitions, and continuous shelter directives have functionally paralyzed civilian life across the country's commercial center. In Iran, the blackout is digital. Coordinated American and Israeli cyber operations collapsed Iran's internet connectivity to between 1% and 4% of normal capacity within the first 60 hours of conflict. Iranian authorities then extended the outage, blocking global internet access for a sixth consecutive day while restricting information flow to state-controlled domestic channels. One Iranian journalist documented spending 6 hours testing 59 different VPN configurations before successfully transmitting a single post. Banking systems went offline. Hospital coordination networks struggled. Emergency services defaulted to analog radio systems not used since the 1980s. The information vacuum inside Iran is nearly total. Outside Iran, the physical damage is visible from orbit. Satellite imagery from March 7th shows an Iranian warship capsized at Bushehr naval base following Israeli strikes. Trump stated the U.S. military had sunk 42 Iranian Navy ships in 3 days. 3 oil depots in western Tehran were struck by Israeli jets that same evening. The IDF announced it had destroyed a covert nuclear weapons research facility designated Parchin, along with missile production sites at Shahrud, described as the factory where most missiles fired at Israel were manufactured. In a separate engagement, an Israeli F-35 shot down an Iranian Yak-130 combat aircraft over Iranian airspace. That was the first confirmed air-to-air kill by the Israeli Air Force against a manned enemy plane in 4 decades. The IDF also reported destroying 300 Iranian missile launchers since the conflict began, which it claims correlates with a 70% reduction in Iranian missile fire directed at Israel. This conflict has also reignited Lebanon. Hezbollah resumed offensive operations against Israel on March 2nd, ending a ceasefire that had held since November 2024. On March 6th, a Hezbollah rocket struck an IDF outpost near the Lebanese border, wounding 8 soldiers from the Givati Brigade. 5 were listed in serious condition. Among the lightly wounded was the son of Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. This detail matters because of its timing. Just 24 hours earlier, Smotrich released a video from the northern border in which he blessed his son's deployment and declared that Beirut's Dahieh district would soon resemble Khan Yunis, the Gaza city that Israeli operations had reduced to rubble. His son was hit the following day. The video was still trending on Israeli social media when the casualty notification arrived. Sometimes, the distance between political rhetoric and battlefield reality collapses faster than anyone expects. Lebanon's health ministry reported 217 killed and 798 wounded from Israeli strikes in just 5 days. The broader economic shockwave is already measurable. Oil prices surged above $100 per barrel. The first 100 hours of Operation Epic Fury reportedly cost $3.7 billion, roughly $891 million per day. Saudi Arabia's Ras Tanura refinery, one of the largest in the world, was temporarily shut down after a drone attack. That single facility processes 550,000 barrels per day. Kuwait started cutting oil production because it ran out of storage capacity for crude that could not be shipped through contested waterways. Qatar, the world's largest liquefied natural gas exporter, declared force majeure on LNG contracts. The financial cost of this war is compounding daily, spreading from the Persian Gulf to every gas station and utility bill globally. The political landscape has shifted in ways no pre-war planning document anticipated. Ali Khamenei is dead. His son, Mojtaba Khamenei, was elected supreme leader on March 8th, the same day cluster bombs rained on Tel Aviv. Israel bombed the assembly of experts while they were physically gathered to select a successor. The assembly bypassed the formality of an in-person vote and installed a new supreme leader under active bombardment. The United States Treasury sanctioned Mojtaba back in 2019 for advancing what they called his father's destabilizing regional ambitions. Now he inherits the office itself under fire. A classified National Intelligence Council report obtained by the Washington Post concluded that the Iranian regime was unlikely to collapse even under sustained large-scale assault. That assessment was finalized approximately 1 week before the first bombs fell. The expectation was rapid decapitation. The reality is day 10 with no defined exit. The expectation was interceptor dominance. The reality is 100 missiles manufactured for every 6 or 7 interceptors produced. The expectation was that cluster munitions would be a marginal threat. The reality is routine deployment against Israel's largest population centers. Neither side has published conditions for ending this. Iran is rationing its modern weapons for a prolonged fight. Israel's interceptor arithmetic deteriorates with every passing day. And both governments are now operating inside a war that has outrun every projection they used to justify starting it. Thank you for watching. Thank you, really.